There was a complaint about me and I was called a mushroom because I don't have any degrees. I took a decision that day that I'm going to take as much as degrees as possible. See, I started with my BSc, MBBS, MD, DNB, FRCP, MRCP, MRCPCH, FRC, CPCS, CCST, FRSM. After pediatric cardiology, there's nothing more. And then there is interventional pediatric. I have done that also because I was very hurt. But I remember the teacher who said I should not think of becoming a doctor. Think about something practical. The most, if you struggle, you can become a teacher like me. I was born into a very poor family. My mother was an orphan. I didn't have a chapel till I was 10th standard. I studied in a Malayalam medium school. Sometimes there is no breakfast. And getting to medicine was a very important life-changing moment.
And you decided it?
I decided. So in UK, though I was doing an interventional cardiology job, I was known in Europe for three-dimensional echocardiography. Left everything, came back to India. And I went to every institution of repute in India asking for a job. And I couldn't get one.
After all
this, we went back. That time I had the offers in 3 major institutions in the UK. Then I came back to India again. Again I went to all the institutions. They said, leave the CV here, we'll call back, but nobody called. I went back again. Then one interesting thing happened. The owner of Amway needed a heart transplant. His name is Rich DeVos, and he had a successful heart transplant. And he wanted to start a program similar to that in US. And they asked me whether I'm interested, and I said no. I got a card from Dick DeVos. It was just one sentence. What can I do to earn a second visit from you, DeVos? Then I thought, nobody in my life has wanted me so much. I was supported in every way to develop that program. I have actually implanted 9 custom-made devices with special permission from FDA in patients in the US, and all of them successfully living after procedure. That device is now valued millions in the world. I have 14 patents at the moment. Then I thought, if I make any more devices, I want to make it in India. It is almost impossible to manufacture it in India. The system is not ready. We are very good at copying. We are doing still copying. I have a very good and better design now. And I should be able to sell it for 1/10 of the price. That's my aim. But I am struggling because whereas I have been here for 3 years in India now, I don't think anyone wants me anywhere.
Today on Shine with NalaN, we have the privilege of hosting a man whose work has touched countless lives across the world. A world-renowned pediatric and congenital cardiologist, a pioneer in cardiac imaging, a medical device innovator, a researcher who has continuously pushed the boundaries of what modern medicine can achieve. As the founder and director of the Institute for Advanced Medical Research and Innovations and a research professor at Michigan Technological University, Dr. Joseph J. Vettukattil has dedicated his life not only to understanding the human heart, but also to advancing the future of healthcare through innovation, research, and compassion. But beyond the titles, achievements, and international recognition lies a deeper story, a story of purpose, service, and an unwavering commitment to humanity. Today, we will explore the journey of a man who has traveled the world in pursuit of medical excellence, yet continues to believe that the true essence of healing lies in touching human lives. Please join me in welcoming a distinguished physician, visionary innovator, and an inspiring human being, Dr. Joseph J. Vettukattil. Welcome, Dr. Joseph. Welcome to our show. And as I know that you are a scientist, like pediatric cardiologist, right? What more? എനിക്ക് ഡോക്ടറെ പറ്റി കൂടുതൽ അറിയണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹമുണ്ട്. I would love to know, like, how was your childhood days? How did you end up in US and other things?
I was born in a place called Manimuli, which is in Nilambur, which is, north of Kerala. I was born into a very poor family. My mother was an orphan. She grew up in Trichur in an orphanage. My mother was my father's second wife. So there were already three children to my father when my mother came. She was only 16. And then I am one of the six children that my mother had. So we had 9 members in the family. So to look after 9 people in a small family,
It's not a joke.
it's not a joke. So my mother is a saint in that way.
Okay.
And when I was around, I don't know how old, I think maybe around a year or so, I was seriously sick. My mother thought I'll never make it. And you know how much a mother loves.
And
the
you were your mother's first child, second child?
I am the second child of my
So,
mother.
okay.
The doctor, I was taken because of severe respiratory illness to the doctor. Those days you have one doctor in the whole place. And when I was taken there, my mother was told I won't make till the morning. So take him home. So her story is that I don't want to go into the detail because there's a bit of extraordinary things there. But what was told was she prayed all night. She won't sleep, keeping me in her arm. And by morning, I got my consciousness back because I was unconscious, and then started coming back to life. So she always say, "Marichu jeevicha mona ende." So she had all her hope in me, and sometimes hope is what gives you life, because always she will say, "All my sufferings will be over once you become big." And that was her blessings. Always she will look at me and say, "Enda mona enne nalla reethiyil ethikka." So that wish and that thought, at least it was an inspiration for me to fulfill my mother's dream.
So how many of you are there in your siblings, actually?
We are 6 in my mother and 3 in my previous mother.
So your mother kept all the hope in you.
In me.
Yeah. And your other siblings are there.
They are there. But she always, maybe she has said the same to others, I do not know.
Okay.
But she always said.
All right.
Also, she used to say, "You should not have been born in this house." Because my tastes were different, my interests were different. And I will refuse to eat sometimes. And she will always say, "But you happen to born in this family and I have to look after you." That's how she used to say.
Okay.
Whatever, we are Christians, so we don't believe have any any rebirths and all that.
Yeah.
But still, this is how she used to say it to me.
I think that your mother prayed and the soul which came back is something supernatural.
Yeah, because she said, I have recordings of it because I couldn't. I asked again and again. I questioned her. She said she wanted to get a sign from God that I'll be alive. And she says she could see Jesus's hand with the wound
Yeah.
on my chest.
Okay.
And then only she believed
Okay.
that I'll be alive. But that is a supernatural thing. But that's why I don't usually
Yeah,
say.
but you cannot negotiate or argue with your mother.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
when it comes to mother, they are supernatural.
And I would ask, was the blood coming? How was the hand? Because to joke, because
Yeah.
this is unbelievable for me, but
Yeah.
for her, it is a truth.
Okay.
Because she must have dreamt, or it must have been so intense her desire that I live, so she could have hallucinated. But this is how
True,
it
very
is.
true, very true. And how was your school days and everything?
School days was, I was very small.
Okay.
For example, my SSLC book says my weight was 28 kilograms.
Oh.
My dog is 65 kilograms today. So you can imagine
Yeah.
28 kilograms and 135 centimeter long,
Okay.
tall.
Okay.
That was my SSLC book record.
Okay.
So I was a very tiny edition. I remember going to school. I was very keen to go to school. So I will run from my home, even if in the rain. Sometimes I'll have this coconut leaf and one slate. That's my memory of my childhood. To avoid rain, you'll have. I didn't have a chapel till I was 10th standard. So we were barefoot, little small village school children. I studied in a Malayalam medium school. So school days are very memorable, but it is all of hardship. For example, we were so poor, sometimes there is no breakfast. There was this barley tin, there was barley for barley water for diarrhea and all you had to drink. And the cover of that tin, she will be full of, wheat. She will dry wheat in a dry pan and because it has to reach everyone, she will give only one tin cover full of wheat. So I remember one day putting that in my pocket because I am late for school, and on the way I thought I'll eat and run, and there was a hole in the on the pocket. So when I reached home, school, on the way I had no food. So I'm just giving an example of how poor that had influenced my life quite a lot. That's one of the reason I always thought of coming back, giving something back to poor people in India. That was my dream.
Very true, but even in your childhood days, there were not much educated people around you, and you were one among the siblings, and you had enough reasons to quit your school, and you had enough reasons to understand that this is not my cup of tea, where you challenged your childhood, right? And you challenged your childhood, you challenged your 10th grade, you came up to the college, and from a very poor family, all your complexes, all your depressional thoughts, all your mother's tears can also tear you apart, which didn't happen. So I want to know from you, Dr. Joseph, how did you overcome that? How did you refresh your memories and tell me that how did you pick up and said that I am going to be a doctor, I will be working towards it, I will get my family first out of poverty. Then comes the next.
It's a very thoughtful question because I never thought I'll become a doctor or anything, actually.
Okay.
I was very sincere, honest, prayerful. I used to pray every day. I had, that is a upbringing I had. And from childhood onwards, I felt I submit myself to God and let Him take care. That was my attitude. But when I went to school, for example, it was tough studying because there is no, even buying books was difficult. So we'll write from one side and then write from the other side so that maths and science can be on. And then the teachers will get really angry because they want one book for everything. So it was struggle.
Very true.
But what happened was, even in SLC, I didn't expect to pass, or I can't say I didn't expect. I was fairly good in my class, but the exam was very tough. Out of, I think it was 2 divisions, 60 each, so about 100 or 120 students, only 8 people passed. So it was a disaster for the school that year, and it's a Malayalam medium. So luckily I passed. Then I didn't know what to do with it because then my teacher said, I am good in drawing, and in science subject you have a lot to draw. So why don't you take science subject? My father felt that I cannot do anything because father used to tap rubbers. And rubber tapping, I am not tall enough to do that work. And I'm not big enough to do house jobs. So I was fairly useless chap. My neighbors, when I went to college, I remember my neighbor telling to my father, why do you want to waste your time and effort on, there is no point in sending children to school. So because I think, the first person one of the few from my school go to college. And the college is about, so I had to take 2 buses to go to college. So it was quite but I got into science group only because I liked science, of course. But it is because somebody said I'm good at drawing and I should
Do you remember that teacher who told you that you are good at drawing?
I do not remember the teacher, but I remember the teacher who said I should not think of becoming a doctor because I wanted to become a doctor. So when I passed PUC or PDC, it was called, pre-degree course.
Yeah.
One of the teachers
Which college was that?
This is MES Mampad College,
Okay.
Mampad, which is,
I think that also was a government college.
No, it was a Muslim Education Society's
Okay,
college.
okay. You got admission there.
I got admission
Okay,
there.
and your teacher told that you are not fit for.
When I came back one Sunday after Mass, I am coming out of the church, and one of my teachers asked, what do you want to do after going to college? And I said, I want to become a doctor because I am ambitious. And he said, don't waste your dreams. Think about something practical. The most, if you struggle, you can become a teacher like me. So go for TTC instead of teacher's training course instead of doing PUC. And I accepted it. I was, as I said, it was not within my capacity to,
Within your parameters.
within my reach. No. So then I thought of becoming a priest because I am very,
Good
religious
in
person.
praying and yeah.
Then I remember going for there is something called Deivavali Dhyanam. That is a few weeks in the bishop's house and with the seminarians too. Then they asked all the questions about what you want to become. And I asked the question whether can I become a priest and a doctor at the same time. They said no. Then I said I want to give it a try whether I can become a doctor. If not, I'll come and join. And my father was very upset when I came back from the seminary because he wanted me to become a priest, at least, something for this guy to get out. Then, actually, in the first year of PUC, I failed in almost every subject except Malayalam. So then actually some kind of a sense came to me. What is life if I do not study and get into something? This is not working. So what I did was I took a small hut. It was cow dung smeared, one room house, no bathroom or anything. And it was a thatched house. And me and my friend stayed there, studied for 3 months intensely for in the second year. So we cancelled all the first year papers. So wrote first and second year together.
On the third year?
On the second year.
On the second year.
Because P is only 2 years. And then I passed with the second class. I didn't have first class there.
Okay. And do you remember that friend who sat with you? And
Yeah, he's a psychologist, Subramanian. Okay. We were together. Actually, he is also from a poor family.
Okay.
We will cook. And I remember my father saying he cannot afford to send me to, and I don't know whether it is relevant, but I'm saying because it was relevant for me, because I said, how much rice do you cook for me a week? Give me that rice. So I used to get 5 glasses of rice from my home, and that was what I used to cook for my food at
my studies.
For my studies there. So and it was 25 rupees rent for the hut. So we shared it, 12.5 rupees.
In which year was that, sir?
That was 1976, I think.
1976.
Approximately.
Okay.
Maybe 77,
And you
76.
came out with a second class.
Second class.
Yeah.
Then I can't go to medicine with that.
Okay.
But there is no other option also. So I thought I will go for BSc.
Okay.
So that's how I went go to BSc.
Same college?
Same college.
Okay.
And in BSc, then I was more into art and music. And I was, when you are in the teenagers, because I had my late teens. Because I remember to the college, I was the first person to go to college with trousers. The short.
The shorts.
Because you went to school with that, I continued. And I got dragged here, because dhoti is the usual thing. And I remember doing that. So I was too small. Even
Unfortunately, you were not capable enough to afford a dhoti, I believe.
That was part of it. Yeah, that was the reason. I remember then, actually, after about a month or so, I cried and said, I cannot go, I get dragged, because boys will come and pinch my thighs. So it was very embarrassing.
Okay.
So I said, this cannot happen. Then my father bought a dhoti, but it was, in Muslims wear the kacha, for the ladies. Okay. And that's what I got. And I got really ridiculed for wearing that. Then I said, no, I cannot have this. Anyway, I'm just telling you how tough it was on those days. Anyway, I go to BSc. Then I was into art and I used to write poetry, and so I was into elocution, so I was blossoming a bit into, not into studies, extracurricular activity. But then again, sense came in at the end, I cannot do this, I have to be serious. So finally, again, I cancelled. But I had very high. I had the highest mark in zoology, but other things I didn't do very well. But by the time I got to final year, I got only 74.7. I lost by 3 marks my distinction. With distinction, you could have gone to medical school. So they then again cancelled my exams. I rewrote and I got a distinction. But by then, the system had changed. You need to have an entrance exam to go into medical school. Otherwise, if you had distinction, you had a direct entry to medical school. So in my life, one thing that happened, when you do retrospectively, everything happened for a reason. I can explain it that once, one of the examples I'll give you. Because so I now pass, in between, when I was redoing the exam, I went to, I was teaching in an English medium school. Actually, I was one of the first teachers of the Little Flower English medium school in Nelambur. Now it's a big school.
Okay.
So, there were only 2 classes, 5 and 6. So I used to study maths and science for the 5th year and 2nd year, 6th year classes. And then I will stay in the office room at night, prepare for my BSc exam, because the second time writing to get the distinction. So I was staying there. And then a very interesting and life-changing thing happened. I used to give tuition to my teachers' children in the neighborhood. So after that, I'll be reaching home around, from college I come, give the tuition, and then come home. Then there was a bank in my village called Cochin Bank. The manager was staying in a rented house on my way. So one day manager came and asked, Joseph, you did your BSc and what are you doing? And I said, I have no job. I am teaching in an English medium school. I get something. He said, if you get 1 lakh rupee deposit you can canvas somebody for 3 lakhs altogether, 3 people. And he said, I know the people who have the funds
Money,
in my
yeah,
bank.
yeah.
All you have to do is you get it into a deposit and then you can take it back. But I can show that you managed to get it. And he is not known to me in any way, in other words, but he was observing me and somebody must have said some good words about me. So he said, why don't you do this? And he gave me the names. So I went to after going to the church in the morning, it is nearer to the church, the first person's house. So I went there, and it is a 2-storied building. So you can enter to the first floor from the way to the church. And I went there, and one of his sons who had finished BSc is preparing for an exam. So I asked, what are you doing? He said, there is an institute called St. John's Medical College, and I am applying for entrance exam there. Oh, I said, I haven't heard of this.
Okay.
And I wrote down the address of the institution. And then I went down and met the father, and he asked me, what is it? Oh, that's a very good idea. Why don't you, I can try to support, let me see. And next day when I was going home, the bank manager called me and asked, you are really stupid. And I said, why? You said that you're going to get the job, and now that teacher wants his son to get the job. And he says he can put 3 lakhs. So I felt very disappointed. And I was very upset, but then I thought, it is not meant for me. Those days, life is like that. There was, I used to do manual labor and all kind of things at that time because you need to survive yourself. And that is when I decided to apply to St. John's for entrance exam.
Where his son was planning to.
to
Yeah.
go. And I remember the colleague of mine, I told you, Subramanian, who is is a psychologist in Vendalman. He and I decided to apply together. I still remember going to the post box in Chungatra, that's a nearby town, and I am putting my application, and then I said, why don't you put yours first, and then I'll put mine. Then he said, it's a Catholic college. I am not going to get it. I am not applying. So then I said, then I am also not applying. Then he said, anyway, you try. There is nothing to lose. So I put my application, he doesn't put. We had also applied for MA psychology because next thing to medicine was psychology.
Okay.
So I got first shortlisted on top for MA psychology.
Okay.
So what happens then is the twist of the story. Is my friend who supposed to have passed BSc actually hadn't passed. So he was pretending he had passed and writing for the exam. So when the bank manager looked for the certificates, actually he hadn't passed, so he didn't get the job.
In the bank?
In the bank.
Okay.
But by the time I had got into St. John's. You understand
Yeah.
So life was certain twists
Yeah,
that,
okay.
and then because I didn't go to the MA psychology, my friend got into MA psychology because he was second on the list. So we parted ways at that time. So I go to St. John's. That was in 1980. And that's when actually it was again a story, because if you have time I can tell, because it's
Please carry on.
So what happens there is, St. John's is it's for elite actually, though, because the culture is very Western. And I remember going for the interview. It's 5 days interview. So everyone has got their parents and support. And I have never left my village. Because I remember I had not seen a train. My father taking me to see the train in Nilambur, because there is a station there. And by the time we reached, the train had gone, and my father acting, this is how it is, it shakes a bit and all that.
Okay.
When you go in, the train is like the size of a room, half the size and all that. So that is my
Imagination
of the world. And then I have to Bangalore to do this exam. The interview. So I remember going, what are the things I need? I asked, and they said, because after the interview, if you get, you have to stay. If you don't get, you have to come back. So I had to go prepared for admission. So I have a plastic bucket, and I put all the clothes. There's not much to take, and some soap, and all that in that. And that's how I'm going to St. John's. So you enter the mess, and then everyone is in suitcase, big, and I am in bathroom chappals, and they identified me as the boy with the bathroom chappal. That is my identification. So I remember going there, and then I fought because all the names of people, my classmates were called in the interview panel. There's a group, and one is called Glenn Pereira, Malcolm Fonseca, you know,
D'Souza.
Reynold Dilema, and everything. I am struggling to remember their names because because the name itself was a problem. Then I am from Malayalam medium. I haven't talked much English, and to argue in English and establish yourself is not easy. And I used to get ridiculed because my pronunciation, instead of queen, I'll say queen. And I get laughed at when I open my mouth, and I had to control that. And at the end, one good thing came. But one somebody who was an interviewer, actually it was Father Mani Giles, he became a bishop afterwards from Christ's College. He called me and said, people like you should be going to St. John's, and I wish you get in. That was very encouraging for me. In between interview, he called me and said that to me. And then comes the result of the thing, and I was not there. I still remember looking at that. They take 110 or 100 people for interview, so half of them have to go home, half stays back. So I remember that evening, I go back to they had given a hostel accommodation. At around 7 o'clock, I have a knock on the door. I didn't know what to do. I thought I'll stay overnight and then go back home. And then Malcolm's father and mother, they are, obstetricians in Mumbai, and comes and says, actually this room have to be vacated because it's given to Malcolm. So I look at them and say, do one thing, let him say, can I sleep in the corner of the room? Because I cannot go anywhere at this evening. And they said a prayer there and said, for me, good things should happen and all that. And they said, please leave. My son cannot stay with another stranger, so you have to leave. So I remember going out with the bucket into the road. Then I walked from there all the way to Dharmaram College. I knocked on the door and I asked whether I can sleep overnight there because I have no way of... Because anyway, I stayed there in the dormitory at that night. Next day, I somehow reached home. I was so disappointed. Those days there was something called parallel college. I was teaching in a parallel college also to make some extra money. So I started back in the parallel college. After 3 days, I get a telegram. Selected to St. John's, confirm acceptance immediately and join soon. So I bought sweets, gave everyone, but you had to give some, I don't know whether it's some money to the fees for
Like
the
a caution
college.
deposit and
Yeah.
all of those times.
And I go to my father, he says, whatever we had is gone. Because, they had borrowed money, and he said, what can you do? Then I remember going to different priests and asking for some money, and I decided to go anyway, and I'll cry and say, hey, this is the situation. So I gathered as much money I can. I went to St. John's. Actually, I went by a truck because even difficult to get to a bus because you had to go from Nadugani to Gudalur to Mysore, like that you had to go. So I reached there because I thought instead of sending a telegram, I thought I'll go straight away and join. But by the time I reached, it was 2 days late. And then actually they had taken me for ragging straight away from there. So I couldn't even join that day. So when I went the next day to the principal's office, there's a sister called Theodore and a guy called Joseph. Joseph is the accountant and Theodore is, I don't know, some kind of official. She asked me, where were you all these days? You got the admission and we were about to give to somebody else.
Oh
and by my, lack of thoughts, I just said, I got caught by these guys for, ragging. Otherwise, I would have come yesterday. And she got furious. St. John's? In my hostel? Is there ragging? I said, yes, sister, there was ragging. Then she called immediately the president of the college, association. Anil Dicruz is his name. He comes to the room and said, he just winks at me and says, I'm keeping things for you. Shut your mouth, otherwise you'll be in bigger trouble. And she said, no, ma'am, there's no dragging in hostel. Then what he sees, he's lying. And he's telling, keep quiet. Anyway, ultimately I got into the hostel, everything went, and I struggled because I was late by a few weeks. So to get into knowledge of anatomy and all the half lessons were over. It was a struggle. But I was never the bottom of the class, but I was on the top 5 or 6. And I really, actually, I blossomed there. It was a very good institution.
Sir, I have a question for you because all through your life, I always feel that you are alone. Okay, you might be clouded with the benefits of blessings and other things, but your willpower and there's nothing as such as flashy on the other side or a motivator on the other side saying that you have to become a doctor or there is something that other than your willpower. There's nothing I see in your family stating that, there is something that I have to learn from them or guide from them or some guidance like, okay, if you go through this channel or that channel, you are going to be there. All through your life, I'm seeing that something is driving you and you are not ready to give up. Are you a man? And you say that you're a man with 28 kg with a limited
Height,
limited, and you're nothing like not even seen in a crowd. You are that invisible person in the society. That's what I feel. That and there are many kids, many people around says that I'm invisible for many because even you are around, people are not going to see you. And how this willpower is happening? Your father, your mother, your siblings, and you are saying that there was one Subramaniam, if I'm not mistaken, who got MA psychology, and he joined there, and you went to John's, with a bucket, with your bathroom chappals. You were asked to move out. You were on the streets. You had 100 reasons to go back and find your so-called labor job, which is already waiting for you. People will be much happier to take you there. Come, let's go for a painting. Come, let's go for this. Rather, that will be a great encouragement at that time, not this time. Because here, today, in today's life, people say, let's try. Don't give up. There's a lot of motivational talks happening. But at that time, the motivational talk is the other way around. Let's do some carpentry. Let's do some painting. Let's do some mason's job. And you were in need of money. You were in need of feeding your stomach, which is called hunger. And what kept you moving is basically a surprise for me.
Yeah, when you ask like that, it is. But for me, the determination that I won't give up. And getting to medicine was a very important life-changing moment.
And you decided it.
I decided it. Because I had gone out to any extent to see whether I can get it. And, studying was not easy. I remember even both at Mambad College, I can tell you stories where, because, I couldn't afford to stay in a hostel or a place to study. So I remember first time going for BSc during exam times, because you can't come from home and we couldn't study at home. Because the environment is not, because father will be upset even if I use a kerosene lamp. We didn't have electricity. And he'll say, because everything was precious. It is not that my father did not support you.
Yeah.
It was for him, the burning of kerosene for all the 9 people in the house is more important than me studying with one, because that is how it was. So for me, there was no other option. And also I remember, as I said, I was I studied Vettukattil. I don't know what you call in English. I was sleepy. I asked the Vettukattil person at night whether I can use their Vettukattil to sleep, and I can put the bag in the corner. So, and they had a desk. The desk is made of 2 planks of wood, and they bench on either side. So they sit on the bench and have the coffee. So at night I was sleeping in that, and Subramanian will sleep on the floor. I sleep on the thing, or I don't know whether it was 2 benches or he put 2 benches together and sleep on that, and I sleep on the. Anyway, I was the naughty person. I was sleeping on the table, and because of the 2 wood planks, there were bed bugs in between. So at night I couldn't sleep. When you sleep, it will start biting. So I took a kerosene lamp and tried to kill the bugs. So there was soot of the lamp on the thing. And the next morning, this shop owner comes and sees the soot, and he gets angry. He throws our bag outside and said, "Get out of here." So, I'm just telling you how tough it was. So it was challenging. So we asked the peon of the college to open a window.
In St. John's?
No, this is in BSc time.
BSc.
And then I will go through the window and then use the board to study, and you can sleep there without anyone knowing. So we did all kind of, it was
But
a
that
struggle.
peon helped actually.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only story of help in every time in my life. But it came from
Unknown way,
unexpected
yeah, yeah,
sources.
yeah.
So I reached St. John's. There, my only ambition was to go back to village, and I wanted to be a good doctor. And I remember once when I was sick, I going to a doctor, and then these are things which was you are immature at that time. I went to this house, and you're waiting outside, and the wife came and said he's taking rest, so come at 4 o'clock. And I felt at that time, if I ever become a doctor, I won't take rest and make people waiting. You know, the struggle you have gone through always make you a better person if you take it in the right way.
Yeah.
That was in my mind always. Don't make people wait, and don't take money from people if possible. But that's an ideal life, and I can't live like that. So when I passed out of St. John's, even that was struggle, because I couldn't actually, I was suspended from the college at the final year for not paying the final year fees. And these are all important stories, but that's why I said my story is long. Anyway, I go to a village. That is the only village at that time in Kerala, maybe only in Wayanad, because Wayanad is a underdeveloped with a lot of Adivasis and all. So I was very idealistic that time. So I thought I will go to Wayanad and work for the poor people. And I joined a hospital called Assumption Hospital. That's where I did my first practice after becoming
General
a doctor.
medicine.
General medicine. And there, the incidents happened in such a way that I was very popular, but there was some amount of jealousy from people as well, or doctors as well. It came to a point where they said I'm doing things I should not be doing. Like I would take risk. I remember an Adivasi lady who had given had puerperal sepsis, and usually people are afraid of keeping Adivasis or people, underprivileged people, if because of politics. If somebody dies in the hospital, there is a lot of
It's going
noise
to be a
about
great
it.
disaster.
So they will always say send it to government hospital. And I remember her husband is called Balan coming and telling me, doctor, if you discharge me, I'll go and she will go and die. I cannot take it. I have faith in you. And how can I discharge him? So I remember asking him to sleep in the couch you have the examination room. She was staying in that couch, in that place. She recovered and went. I'm just telling you the struggle, but I went out of my way to do whatever is possible to help my patient. I had by second year I had a lot of patients. I was very popular.
Where in Wayanad?
In Wayanad. There was an incident where there was a complaint about me, and I was called a mushroom because I don't have any degrees, and I'm doing, because there was an incident where, there were many incidences where I took courage. I did a cesarean section, which I'm not qualified, but as a doctor, you can do procedures like that. What happened was this lady was in labor, obstructed labor, and the obstetrician had gone away. And she instructed me what to do, and the surgeon also went off. So there is no surgeon, no obstetrician. This woman is in labor pains and obstructed labor. The obstetrician believed the delivery will happen only after she comes. But she thought it will be a normal delivery, but this was obstructed. I had to take a decision. I took spinal anesthesia and did a cesarean section and delivered. Both mother and child were well. But these things sent kind of things. These guys, I didn't have any deaths actually, to be honest, in my entire career, I have done interventional procedures for thousands, more than 6,000 procedures. I had only one death on my table, and that patient was because she was not for resuscitation. Otherwise, I had no death under my hand.
Amen.
So I'm not boasting. What I'm saying is that
seriously.
I was dedicated to my patients. And what happened, and that faith I had, I am doing the right thing. And if I do right thing, I can stand by it. And that moral courage is what always drove me. But when I was told I am a mushroom and I am not qualified enough, I took a decision that day. Nobody ever will tell that I am not qualified enough. So then the thing came that I am going to take as much as degrees as possible.
Okay. Sir, I'm listening to you like a movie, basically. 6,000 plus interventions. A scholar, a scientist, a pediatric cardiologist, what more? You are in conversation with Dr. Joseph Vettukattil. We'll be back after a break. Stay connected. More to hear. How can you become somebody from nobody? You are in conversation with Dr. Joseph Vettukattil. This is Shine with NalaN. This conversation is happening in English because I want the nation to listen to this wonderful doctor who has come out from a village, who is today representing India in US. And he has returned back home with a great mission. And this mission has to be accomplished because it is the necessity of the coming up generation. And this is a small contribution. Let's come back. Sir, Paru. So you were in Wayanad and you were doing your treatments and other things. People called you mushroom and you decided that this is it. I am going to come back with all what can be done in my life, with all the crowns and degrees that people will no more affect you in any manner. And what is your rest story, sir?
So then you have to write entrance exams to go into post graduation. So there were some dream institutions in my mind. One was Srijitra Institute. So I went and wrote the entrance exam to become a senior house officer. I think that was what I was trying to. Again, it's all, every incident is so interesting, but I'm mentioning Srijitra because now we have an MOU and we are doing research with Srijitra. That's why I'm saying that.
We'll come there.
Yeah. And then from there, luckily I got into a junior residency in JIPMA, Pondicherry, which is a very great institution. And somehow the professor of pediatrics even now remembers me. I stayed there only for 3 months. Dr. Srinivasan even now calls me. You know, why I respect him for that is a person, I don't remember if some students came and stayed with me for 3 months. But he chased me throughout my life. Even now when recently he was in US and he calls me, Joseph, how are you doing? And he says, you will become a great person. He had so much of, I'm just saying, he's only 3 months I spent there because that is another story. I mean, he was very fond of me. I thought I may get into JIPMA for my MD pediatrics. But then there was national entrance. So I went for national entrance exam. And there was an entrance exam in St. John's. St. John's was starting the first MD pediatrics that year. And so
I think your economics also got a bit better at that.
I was better because I had saved up something to study further. But then comes the story of my wife.
Okay.
But that is another big chapter in my life.
Okay.
But anyway, I met...
It was a love story.
It was a love story. I met Jean when I was doing my internship in St. John's. And their family was totally against us being together. And
quite natural.
Yeah, natural of the time. So what happened was I came to St. John's to write the entrance exam. And then I had finished the written test.
But Jean was studying there.
Jean was a nurse there at that time.
She was working there?
Working there.
Oh, right, okay.
Because I have already finished my village service and come back.
Okay.
So I come to St. John's for the entrance exam. And then they declared that if you are studied in Karnataka, you are also eligible for writing the entrance exam in Karnataka. So I was going to write the exam, or I was going to anyway, Bangalore Medical College with my friends. And I see Jean on the way in a plastic bag saying that she was asked to leave the house if she wants to continue with her relationship with me.
Okay.
That's another story, but we won't say that. Anyway, she meets me and she tells me, Joseph, if you want, I'll come with you. Otherwise, I'll end my life here. That's it.
Okay.
So I said, get into the jeep. Okay. So instead of going to the Bangalore Medical College or university, we went to the registrar's office.
Okay.
Because I have to have some document saying that we got married.
Yeah.
And when we went there, we realized that you can't get married like that. They told us you have to register and then after 1 month only you can get married. You know, though I was a doctor by then and experienced, but I didn't have experience in this part.
Getting married or,
Yeah. So then I was worried. What am I going to do? I have never, I was supposed to be the model boy of my village. And I can't suddenly take a girl to my village and say, I'm getting married.
Yeah.
And she had a very strong will that you cannot live together before marriage and you have to have a church marriage.
She insisted? She insisted. Okay.
So I have no other option. So then I realized that I had during my 2 years in Sultan Batteri, I was very close to the principal of the local college. He's called Mohan Babu sir. He's a very respected teacher and a principal. So I went to their house and I said, "Can you keep Jean here for a few days?"
Oh.
They knew because when I was in Assumption Hospital in Betheri for my village service, I used to tell everyone about Jean. So they knew about
Okay.
my.
You proposed her first.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened was, and he said, "Okay, let her be there." And another story happened that before leaving the hospital with her, I went to the director of the hospital and of the to say that I'm leaving. If I pass the because you after passing the if you pass the written test, you had to go for the interview to get into. And because I had given my address to JIPMA, Pondicherry, I said if I pass the exam, please send the interview card to this address, my home address I gave. And he told me very strongly, you are not going to get shortlisted. Even if you get shortlisted, it's very unlikely that you will be qualified for MD. And I had the guts to say, I know I'll be qualified for the shortlisted for the interview. And if I get into the clinicals, I am confident that I'll make it. My only request is, this is a private institution and he is the boss of the institution. I am so confident because JIPMA turned me into a different person. I saw the way people study there. And I wished if I had studied, put half the effort, I can reach, somewhere great.
Okay.
So that turned my confidence was different. I was a different person. And I was determined that I can get somewhere, because I used to study little before the exam. I was not a very studious person. Then when I saw people studying hard in JIPMA, because it's a national
People are very
institute.
serious about
They are
this.
serious. They spend time. They are always studying. Then I knew that I have higher potential.
Okay.
Anyway, from there I went to Betheri, and then I had to get special permission from the bishops to get emergency marriage. So anyway, the story is that as I was going between bishops, one guy accidentally meet me in the bus station and said, his name is Jimmy George. I'll never forget these things because he came and said, Vijay is what I was called. Vijay, you got shortlisted for the clinicals, and that is on 17th of January. And I am meeting him on 13th. And I was planning to have the marriage on 19th. So if I get into the interview, how can I have any of this? So I arranged I got a special permission from my bishop. He knew me well to have the wedding. And I sent jeeps to pick up my family to come for emergency wedding. And we had our wedding on 15th of January instead of 19th. And I left her alone in my home. She has never been to a village of my kind. And I went for the interview and got into MD. And then we went together to Pondicherry to get our baggage and then start our second life.
My question is why a nurse? Because mostly doctors marry a doctor. Number one. And number two, how did you get attracted to her? Like she was working with you or what?
It's an interesting. She was not working. I liked her at the first sight. It's love at first sight.
Okay.
So there was no question.
So you went
straight.
same.
No problem. But the problem was, I didn't even realize
she
that
was a
she's.
nurse.
I knew she was a nurse,
Okay.
but I didn't even see. For my mind is some funny way
Calculating
organized.
things, yeah.
For me, I didn't realize that she is Anglo-Indian. For me, she was a girl, and I could fall in love with her.
Okay.
And for nurse and doctor, didn't make much difference.
Okay. Normally, people
Yeah, I
from the
agree.
same profession, same job, meeting together. But see, for me, it's another thing is as you said, she's an Anglo-Indian. So again, you had your own pros and cons on your way, and at that time, you were on your rush to build your career, and you met your love, and you went and proposed to her. I'm just seeing your gut feelings. Like, how did you handle all these things?
It is
And
a
how did
big-
she accept it?
I think it's a big story. Probably I should not go there. I remember once, I went to her family to propose. And there was a famous film actor called Tikkurushi Sukumaran Nair. His daughter was married to my friend. So Tikkurushi was in Bangalore, and Tikkurushi's son-in-law and his daughter came with us to support me to go to her house
And to get-
and say that I am good guy, get married and all that. And Tikrushi was sitting in his house and said, bring her, we will get her married in Bangalore. So
Bangalore.
he's,
Okay.
he's an interesting
So
person.
you got a backup.
I have a backup,
Okay,
but
okay.
nothing happened. Her mother said nothing. You get out of here.
But
And,
still her family rejected you.
rejected, yeah.
Okay. Now how did it happen? Okay. Then you guys moved with your MD. Okay.
So that was a struggle to, because we didn't know where to stay. You are now married, you have got a admission. And then actually I had luckily got into MD in KEM hospital in Mumbai. And there you didn't have to pay fees and they will give you salary monthly. So I decided then to go to KEM in Mumbai to do MD instead of Bangalore. And I remember going to the same priest. He is now bishop, so I won't tell the name. He said Mumbai is very polluted, and Jean's family he knows Jean's family well, has asthma, and she will suffer if you go. If you care for her, you should not leave. That was a real psychological manipulation, he did. And also he said, I like to pay the money back or give a what was it, penalty or something to if I had to leave after getting admission to MD. So I was stuck. So I stayed there, and then again another story. Anyway, we had a very nice family. We called them Menon uncle and auntie, who looked after like their children.
Where in Bangalore?
In Bangalore. So we stayed in their house for 2 weeks because we had nowhere to stay. Then there was some other family, again it's all big stories, who gave us one room on the top floor of the house, and that's where, and for rent, and then we stayed there and we managed there.
Which year is these things?
This is 1989.
1989. So at that time, Menon uncle is well known to you, or you just
That's
randomly met him?
It's another story.
Oh, okay.
So she, Menon auntie was, we call her Menon auntie, was a study case for Jean when she was a nursing student.
Okay.
And I remember her. Somehow I met her as well when she was in hospital for something, and she used to like us even then, and said she has 2 children but they live away and they have a big house and all that. That's how. Then we went back to St. John's. We looked for their address, and we don't have, we don't keep patient data.
Okay.
But probably what I did was considered wrong in this time of, but I didn't feel it was wrong. I went to the medical record section and went through all the records to see where is her record. And I took her address because nobody knew, and she would have given me address anyway. So we found the address, went there, and then we were told they sold the house and gone. Then, but we chased them out because they loved us as children,
Kids,
as
yeah.
kids.
And you didn't have any other choices also at that
Yeah,
time.
I have. So I went to them and they actually said, you can stay for 2 weeks, find somewhere. But they were very kind to us. But why I'm saying the name is that till their death, we were very close. When my first son was born, they went to the temple and made pujas for us. And their ration rice they will bring, and their sugar. And when she make curd, and she will take the ghee out and then separate it and give it to us. They looked after like children. So why I'm saying this is, I always feel that if you are righteous and do your things in the right way, help comes from all directions. I never struggled in that way.
God bless.
So they looked after us. And then again, when I finished MD, we wanted to go back and do again what I wanted to do. But then we had loans. Then I thought I will do some work outside, because with my attitude, I won't make money. Because that was my nature. So I thought to pay the money back, either I like to change my way of thinking, or I like to go abroad and make some money and come back. Till that time, I didn't want to go abroad. So I made 25 copies of my CV, sent to those days you don't know the names of hospitals. You had to go to journals and look at lists of publications, because I was academic, and I found names of like Sultan Qaboos Hospital in Oman, National University of Singapore. These are some examples.
yeah.
I send CVs to everywhere saying that.
Looking for a job.
Yeah, I got shortlisted in 2 places. That's why I remember Sultan Qaboos and National University
Singapore.
of Singapore. But they wanted me to go for an interview there.
Okay.
I wrote
Where
back
to
Singapore or Oman. I
You
wrote
never
back,
flew in a flight, right?
no, till that time I
Until
have
that.
never flown. So I wrote saying that if I do not make it, they should give me a temporary job so that I can pay back my flight charges. In that case, I'll come. Otherwise, I can't come.
Yeah.
Because how can I go to an
You cannot
interview and
afford
come
it
back?
at
I
that
can't
time.
afford.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. They didn't agree to it. So then, because Jean had British ancestry, then we decided to take that path. So she proved her ancestors were British, and that itself was a long story. I'll summarize in one big incident where she had family silver, and for some fluke, one of her relatives said they have the family silver with them. Do you want to take it? And we took some of the silver with us, and there was a huge spoon, and it had her family alum, the family sign.
Okay.
Why it is important is that we had to go for her interview in Madras Embassy, British Embassy, and for some weird thinking, I told her, take the spoon with you. I mean, who will ask to take a spoon to go for an interview? And she obeyed. She put it in the bag, and we went there, and she gave all the certificates, and then
So you are planning to fly to UK?
we thought we will go to work in UK,
Okay.
pay the debt, and come back.
Okay.
So she then we went to Madras to the embassy for the interview, and then she comes crying saying that, Joseph, we didn't get it. And I asked, did you show the spoon? And she said, spoon? I said, go and show the spoon to them and say, this is your family. Because you don't have a family alum unless you are an aristocratic family. And it says her great-grandfather was born in Kumri Castle. So I said, you say that this is the... and she then went again and said, by the way, this spoon is of my family heritage, and this is the... There's an elephant on a castle, isn't it? A lion on a castle is their family emblem. So she showed it, and then they said, keep it back, you have the visa.
Oh.
That's how she gets a visa. That's why I said about the spoon. So I'm bringing coincidences which
Help
shaping
me.
my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And some thoughts which normally nobody thinks of taking a spoon to, but the way my mind works also, I'm telling you. So we got, and she went, and then whatever, she couldn't work as a nurse because her certification is not qualified in Britain. So you have to do a nurse auxiliary work, and that is not highly paid. And she will spend all that money calling me, because you had to book calls those days, trunk calls.
Oh, only she went there.
She went.
Okay, you were
I
still
couldn't
here.
afford, because
Oh,
she had to make enough money to take me.
Okay.
So she went and started working, and then I decided that at this rate, neither I nor she will be, because she will cry every weekend and say, I am missing you. And they said, small kid for us.
Kids are here.
Just
Yeah.
one child, 2.5 years old. And she will miss. And every weekend, life is
Horrible.
sad.
Yeah.
Then comes another thing. Her aunts, that is British relatives, daughter's husband is a famous film director. He's called, you must have heard of Monty Python stories. So Monty Python is a classic in UK. And Terry Jones, a famous director, was married to her aunt's daughter. So he decided, when he saw her upset, he said, I'll sponsor him how much ever money you want. And he wrote a letter saying that Dr. Joseph's all expenses, families, everything will be borne by my company or whatever. And that was it. So we could get visa, and we went there.
Okay.
And then I was lucky with my small kid. I studied hard. I got PLAB within first 3 months. That is Professional and Linguistic Assessment Board exam. That first time I passed. Then I remember going to a hospital, and they said, I wanted to do MRCP. And they said, nobody writes MRCP just like that. You have to do 1 year. I said, no, I can write. So actually I got MRCP part 1 and 2 within 6 months. I passed everything. So I was very highly qualified then, and I got into the one of the most prestigious institutions in London called London National Heart and Lung Institute, Brompton National Heart and Lung Institute. So I got into cardiology because that was my dream. But I had the promise I'll come back after 1 year. So after 1 year, I thought that I have enough knowledge to start working in India.
India.
So I left everything, came back to India, and I went to every institution of repute in India asking for a job, and I couldn't get one.
All these.
After all this, I had MRCP. They either said pediatric cardiology is not, there is no role for pediatric cardiology now. Children with heart disease die. There is no point in coming back here. And after spending about 3 months, we went back.
Okay. You're listening to Dr. Joseph Vettukattil, who is a professional doctor who has earned all his graduations and degrees. He worked in London with his whole family, well settled, came back to India in which year, sir? 90s?
93.
Yeah, in 90s.
93, 94.
In 90s, he searched for a job here in India, a professional doctor, didn't find because there was no big scope of pediatric cardiology at that time, and he flew back. You are in conversation with Joseph Vettukattil, and we'll be back after a small break. This is Shine with NalaN. Welcome back. You are in conversation with Dr. Joseph Vettukattil. In 90s, 93, 95, he came back from London and he searched job here. You're listening to his stories, and it is more of a influential story than a motivational story. Let's listen to his more ambitious journey, and we will come back and understand like why he is here today in India, even after all his scholar degrees and all his upcomings. Let us see. Let us listen. Yes, sir. 90s you have traveled back, and you thought like that's it.
Yeah, so I get back to UK. Then I have to start from scratch
Scratch
again,
again.
because I am now nobody, and I was lucky in the sense there was a professor called Dr. Andrew Reddington. He was very fond of me when I was in National Heart and Lung Institute in Brompton. So I went to him first. He said, Joseph, do one thing. I will give you a position as lecturer. I mean, to a person of my, qualification or my experience, to get a lecturer's post in UK is unheard of. So he told me to go to Hammersmith Hospital for fetal cardiology and shadow a person there, and I can be given a lecturer's post. Anyway, it didn't work out, but he had so much confidence in me to support. And so I was doing locum work. I will go to, but I will do only locums in places where nobody wanted to go, like intensive care in Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is, they asked me one day, why you want to come here? Nobody wants. I said, I want to learn more cardiology. Anyway, I was struggling for about 3 months because I know direct job. I have a family to look after, child school. Struggled a bit. Then I went to a place called Southampton, where actually Dr. Reddington knew the consultant and wrote to him saying I am a great doctor, and he had written very good things about me. So I went there, and then they said, anyway, it's an interesting story because I was not, the person who was head of the department said, Joseph, we will shortlist you, come for the interview such and such date. And when a few days before the interview, I called the Human Resources Department, and they said, you are not shortlisted, you are not going to be shortlisted. So I called the doctor again and said, you said you will be shortlisting me, and I am not. Then he said, you will be shortlisted. So I was shortlisted. I went there. I got the registrar job in pediatric cardiology. So that is my beginning of pediatric cardiology then. So I do 1 year there. So they were so supportive of me that actually there was a senior registrar. So after junior registrar, you become a senior registrar. Was going to leave the place. So they paid me salary for 1 month without working to to keep me there so that I can be working there. So they really, all the nurses, everyone liked me so much. I had one of the best experience in my life in Southampton. So I go back there, and then I was supported so well. I did some research and published. I had actually the best pediatric cardiac trainee award. I had 2 awards the same year, because of the 4 research that they shortlisted for award, 2 were mine. So then I was known in the pediatric cardiology community. And then actually Professor Eddington wanted to train me under him. But he said, because, usually people of, color don't get into higher education that easily, or higher positions. That's one thing.
Those days.
Those days.
Yeah.
And other thing is that the first time in England, they were going to have a specialist training program for pediatric cardiologists. Till then, there was no training. So he said, if the first training program comes, it is very unlikely that you will be getting it, but you go for the interview. So I got shortlisted in Birmingham Children's Hospital for what is called specialist training in pediatric cardiology. That's the first time in the UK there is a training program. So I went for the interview, and before that I went and met my professor and said, actually I want to work with you. He said, don't worry, you won't get it. So the person who would likely to get in my, in there will get in this place, so I can come to this. So don't worry. That was his.
Okay.
And after the interview, they said, called 3 names. I mean, there were 3 people. 2 were European or British, and 1 was me. And then when they came and announced Dr. Vettukattil, and others thought to say you can go was the message. But then said you can come in and other 2 can go. I still remember the commotion in that room of me getting into the first pediatric cardiology number position in UK.
That's very impressive, actually. Why pediatric cardiology?
That's interesting because I love children. And always I spend a lot of time with children. I used to play with them. As a doctor also, I used to spend a lot of time. I had the pediatric gold medal in my training in St. John's. So I'm already a pediatrician. So any other specialty I like to take is pediatric cardiology. Actually, I was offered a pediatric gastroenterology position in one of the biggest hospitals in London. And I refused. I remember the gastroenterology professor calling me and saying that people like you come begging for a job, and here I am offering you it on a plate and you are refusing it. I will see you walking around without a job. That was his word.
It's an European? It's
a European. It's a British gastroenterologist.
So my question here is, like, pediatric cardiology is not something people can think at that time. It's something beyond. Is there any incident that, like, everything connected to your life happens with an incident? If you go back and see somebody challenging you.
I mean, if you put it that way, one of the reason I could say is that I wanted to have every qualification that nobody will ever say. So in pediatric, after pediatric cardiology, there is nothing more to do. And then there is interventional pediatric. I have done that also. Because I was very hurt. That may be a driver, I don't know. Also, I was very good in procedures. I was very well known in St. John's for quick access or doing procedures for difficult cases. So that ability to intervene quickly in heart patients is very important. So I had the hand-eye coordination or the skill.
True, but pediatric cardio is not just like an adult. Wherever I see you have been connected with the delivery happening, a cesarean, you took your chance. So you were always connected with birth, babies. And is there any kid, like you still remember, you have done mostly like 6,000 plus interventions. Is there any incident like you'd like to highlight from your journey?
There are hundreds of incidents. So one is, because you love every child. Every life is so precious. So, and there are so many stories where you can't give up on a child.
But something that you have took it as a challenge. Something that people have thought that this is not going to happen.
I mean, there are many instances. I was very good at picking up rare diagnoses, rare problems, and trying to find a solution for it. And I had developed a technique called multiprana reformatting.
You have developed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
In
another
UK?
story in UK.
Okay.
When I was doing pediatric cardiology, after I finished my training, I joined back because that's another story, but I won't go into the detail. I joined back in Southampton as a pediatric cardiologist, as a consultant. And I remember going for a scientific expo where Philips had made a new system for three-dimensional echocardiogram
Where in UK?
in UK.
Okay.
And that was the first time they are exhibiting. And
Okay.
I liked it. I felt this is the future of imaging.
In which year happened that?
That will be 2002 or 2003.
Okay. So
2002.
I think in India it's still not happening.
It is happening, but it's not that much used.
Not much used. Okay. Please continue.
So I saw this echocardiographic system that can do three-dimensional echo. So I asked Philips, engineers, how can I get one? And they said for research purpose they can give a refurbished one. If we give a old machine to them and give, I think if I remember correctly, we had to generate about 40,000 pounds, British pounds. So I went to a charity or a foundation in Southampton and raised the funds and got the machine. So it was March 30th or so, because I still remember the financial year they had to give the machine, and they went and dumped the machine, dumped in sense left the machine in the place, but the software for analyzing had not been developed. So I used to spend after hours, I'll spend and see how I can dissect the heart. So I come up with some method. So by the time they came up with something, I said, I have a way of doing it. Actually, they liked my way of, dissecting the three-dimensional heart. So I became a teacher for them. So I went around the world teaching three-dimensional echocardiography. So I went to many European countries, Sweden, Switzerland, almost every country.
Giving them sessions about
Gulf countries. So I was going around teaching the way of three-dimensional echocardiogram.
Okay.
That is imaging the heart.
Yes.
So in UK, though I was doing an interventional cardiology job, I was known in Europe for three-dimensional echocardiogram. And then I had decided my intention to come back to India was still there. So when I qualified, actually the certification of specialist training is 5-year course.
Where in UK?
In UK.
Okay.
After 3 years, they said I have met the criteria. So I was certified as a pediatric cardiologist in 2000. So I joined there in 1997. 2000, I became a pediatric cardiologist. Then I came back to India again. Again, I went to all the institutions. I remember coming to Amrita Hospital. I went to Manipal Hospital. I went to St. John's. I went to everywhere possible. And I couldn't get a job. They said, leave the CV here, we'll call back. But nobody called. I mean, that time I had the offers in 3 major institutions in the UK.
In UK?
In UK. Birmingham Children's itself said.
And you are begging job here in India?
And
in Kerala?
In Kerala.
Okay.
And then I went back again.
Okay.
Then it was a straight,
No, tell me why you were not able to find a job in Kerala. What do you think about it?
I think mainly it is true that people did not believe congenital heart disease is an area they can specialize, or children can't afford to pay for fees, isn't it? Children are dispensable. How much ever you love, they can't earn. An adult is ready to pay for their expenses, but a child cannot. Child life is always less valued than adult. That's the reality. Everywhere. Now it is different because every family will have only 1 or 2 child, so they will. Previously, it was not the case.
But you were here after 2000.
Yeah.
Right? 2000 is not a very late.
Not late, but I think I will tell you an example. I go to Nepal.
Okay.
I was invited as the special guest for Nepal Pediatric Association.
Okay.
And so I had given a couple of lectures. Next day is my lecture. Then I remember going to a famous temple, and you had the dye or the curd from there is very famous. So they said, you have to drink this. I was very reluctant to take any other food, but temple curd, I thought I'll take. Why I'm saying is, it's a reason. Because I got severe diarrhea whole night. I couldn't stand up. And then I have to give the talk next day. And the first question they ask after my talk is, Dr. Vettukattil, we are a poor country. We have, you can do a great surgery and procedure and go, and the child will die of diarrhea or malnutrition or tuberculosis. What's the point in doing all these heroic things in my country? That was a question. And I could feel it because I am having severe diarrhea after going somewhere and they're asking the question. I could only laugh at it. But the reason I said was this. At that time, there were 27 million people in Nepal and 13 million children because the population pyramid was reversed. Whereas UK had that something like 45 or 47 million population and had 13 million children. So the number of children in UK and
Was
Nepal
less.
were the same.
But you can say the graph is different.
Graph is different.
Yeah.
But there was only one pediatric cardiologist for whole of Nepal, and for every 3 million population there was a pediatric cardiologist in UK. So there is a, but I said if 10% of Nepalese people can afford to pay, that is how many? 10% of 13 million is 130,000. 130,000 people, I mean, of that maybe 1 in 100 is whatever. Even if 100 children who can afford to have the treatment will be going to India or another country, and you will be spending national resources to treat these patients. So it is better to develop the technology in your own country so that you can save, and every speciality is necessary for a country. You can't just say it is not. I tried to develop pediatric cardiology in Nepal. I used to go every 6 months. We took the only pediatric cardiologist in Nepal. She stayed with us. We trained her in Southampton and sent her back. And we started a program in.
But did it work?
Oh, it worked. Now it's one of the best. I mean, it's a very flourishing pediatric cardiac program. Actually,
Nepal?
in Nepal,
Okay.
we were invited. Last year we didn't go because of the elections and things. We were a bit
Okay.
worried. Previous year we were there as.
But when you came to India, then what happened? Because Amrita is a great hospital, St. John's is a great.
I think it's better I do not say comments. I did not qualify to be.
You did not qualify
Right.
after all these things.
Yeah.
After medically, you didn't get qualified.
Not medically.
Okay.
Because I told you, I was already sought after. At least 3 institutions had asked me to come and join them. And then I'm coming to India. And then I went back and I got a job straight away.
Even I think the Indian Medical Association is.
I think the system here is different from Western countries. Western countries, if they spot talent, they will promote you to any extent. Not because of their love for you, but their love for their institution. They know that this man, if you invest, he can improve the profile of the institution and the patients. Whereas here, who cares? I mean, I have a real problem in that context because our culture has to change. Because in India, each one is, because we grow in a competitive culture, your friend getting 1 mark more than you is considered something bad. Whereas in the West, you are encouraged. There is no, it is a positive thing to somebody to get higher. You
Somebody
admire
to-
that person.
we can admire, we can grow with them.
Yeah.
We can learn from them. And my question
In
is like,
Malayalam, it ends in poetry. Anninu uyarcha kaanumbol anandikkendathanu nee. But I think we have a great philosophy and a great culture. But the working methodology is exactly opposite. That's the reality.
see, doctor, the question here is like, in Indian culture, everything happened, everything developed, all the kind of scientific thoughts or all kind of scholars. If I look into the culture, even if it is Bhagavad Gita, even if it is Bible, even if it is Quran or whatever is said, in the humanitarian concern, when it says Sanskrit, when it comes to food also, when it say that Rajasic, Sattvic and all kind of Tamasic
Tamasic.
food and all these things, but people least follow it. People are so People love to be mysterious, number one. They love to follow people who are mysterious. And they love to learn certain things which is mysterious, which is not wrong. But my question here is, when something is advancing, why there is always a rejection, why there is always a defensive thought in India, in Kerala? I have no idea. If somebody is trying to develop something, like I'm talking to a doctor who has come from a village, who has traveled all through the pains, all through the hardships, and he's not a nepotic kid or somebody, a politician. He's just a doctor, a guardian angel, and he has come here with a mission called Pediatric, which is for the kids. And you have run behind all the institutions which is known as very famous in Kerala. Not even in India, you call it Manipal is in, not in Kerala. And they have not given you an opportunity. And you keep on coming back. I love that. That's
But
why
I think there is a bias here. See, is it even now, why would a person who is qualified in UK come back here? The first thing will be there is something wrong with him. Okay, either or he's mad, or there is some serious issues for him in there. He's not able to sustain here. There, that's why he's coming here. That is because who will come back? That's a common man's attitude.
Very true.
So they will always think that there's a reason, and we are suspicious of everyone else. So I think nobody probably have believed me that I wanted to come
Sir,
back.
world has changed. Educational system maybe is not, but the world has changed. Everything is open. People want luxury. People want all the terms of what you call it, luxury. Call it medicine, call it food. But acceptance of quality is still questioned. That's what I believe. Acceptance of quality. Everybody wants quality. You go to UK, you will live a quality life. You come here, you will pee on the road.
But I'll ask you a different question. See, when I went to US, almost every person in the street, because I had big advertisement, there were big billboards all over saying this great cardiologist is coming. So my picture was there in the streets.
Oh, you flew to US then?
No, I am just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened was I wanted to come back again.
Okay.
Then I thought I will take early retirement and come back to India. Then do whatever I can in a nice institution, or as a human being I can do something. I never thought, that's one of the things, I don't make great plans. I just think what I should do and do it. Because if I think too much, I know
It's not going to happen.
because this is one of the main things that drives my life. If you have expectations, you have sadness by it, because you always worry. So this is one of the main teaching of Bhagavad Gita also.
Great Buddha's words.
Yeah. So you do your, anything that you do with devotion. Yat karoshi, yat jatnasi, yat jihoshi, yadasi yada, yat tapassasya kaundeya, tat karushamai darpanam. You dedicate to me and do what you can do. Don't worry about the result. It will happen.
Only on the process. I believe in the same thing. I always state the same thing to my team. Don't believe in the result. Believe in the process.
Yeah.
So, doctor, you were in UK. So you went back to UK. You were stable there. Again, you have returned with great pass, great honorable degrees, great honorable, respect from all your institutions. And how did you end up in US, sir?
That's another story, because I was planning to come back now.
Again?
Retire and come
this
back.
is your habit, I
I
think.
wanted, because I was against people going to the West
Okay.
when I was a medical student.
Okay.
I felt that you are trained in India. You should be working in India. There is need for so many doctors. And the person who preached ended up in the... And I felt I was dishonest
Very heavy,
to myself.
feeling it very heavy.
Yeah.
So I truly understand now, listening to his US stories from UK to US, the great scientist, the great doctor, which I believe, more than a great doctor, the good doctor, Joseph Vettukattil, is in conversation with Shine with NalaN. Let us come back after a tea break. So welcome back. You're in conversation with Dr. Joseph Vettukattil, and this is Shine with NalaN. Sir, with the divine tea. This is called divine tea, a very precious tea in my show. From UK, how did you end up in the US?
So, with the development of three-dimensional echocardiography, I was fairly well known in Europe and parts of America. Also, I was a very good interventional cardiologist. What happened was there were patients coming from other centers to Southampton now because we could do complex surgeries, because we could visualize the inside of the heart better. And there were stories about me in the newspapers that time. And then one interesting thing happened. That is, in US, the owner of Amway needed a heart transplant.
Amway.
Amway.
Okay.
His name is Rich DeVos, and he's from Grand Rapids. And he was flown to UK because he couldn't get a transplant in the US. And he had a successful heart transplant. And he was impressed by two things: the dedication of the doctors in UK, and he wanted to start a program similar to that in US.
But you are in pediatric.
I'm in pediatrics.
But he is.
It's adult cardiology. So I still remember how it happened. So I was thinking of coming back to UK, to India, as I told you. And I was in a meeting in Istanbul in Turkey. And my surgeon, whom I work closely with, was already recruited by Dick DeVos, Rich DeVos' son, to head the department of pediatric cardiac surgery in Grand Rapids. So he was very keen for me to join. They had formed a national search committee for the hospital to hunt for a person to work with him. So they came to Southampton and they asked me whether I'm interested, and I said no, because there was another reason that I had promised that I will never go to US. So I had to keep my promise. So I said I wouldn't be coming. And then I remember my surgeon colleague who was also...
Is there any reason that you keep such promises in between?
I'll tell you, it's important.
Okay.
So what happened was settle in the US. Yeah, that was the word. Not go to US. Not. Otherwise, Dr. Reddington had, when I went first time into Brompton, he said, Joseph, you'll do much better in the US. I will support you, and you can go to US. And I said, I will never go to US. Because I thought if I go, I'll settle. And I was told I should not settle. The reason is that
you were told by whom?
I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
When I was suspended from medical school for not paying the fees, there was a priest from Holland called Father Harry Bayot. I approached him saying that I need desperately some money. He said, if you promise, because all the good doctors from St. John's were emigrating to US, and St. John's is intended to help people in the villages in India. And he made me promise that he will give me these 3,000 rupees provided I promise that I will never settle in US. So I had given him that promise and I got the money. So that is why I decided not to go, because I trust, your words are the most important that possession you have. So I kept that word. So, and also I thought if I go to US, I'll settle there because it is so attractive for if you are industrious and if you are talented, you get very well in the US.
They pamper you.
They look after you very well. As I told you, I had billboards in the US in the airport. Even now there is a huge billboard of me there hugging a patient. So it was tough for me.
Which part of US?
In Michigan.
Michigan.
So what happened was this cardiac surgeon was attending the same conference in Istanbul. So he changed his flight ticket, and asked me which flight I'm taking. He sat with me, and we flew together to England. And he tried to convince me that I should join him in Grand Rapids. So then what happens was I get an offer from Grand Rapids from the DeVos' hospital. It is called Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. Beautiful hospital. If you look at it, you'll see this is one of the most attractive, sophisticated children's hospital I have ever seen. So they send a letter saying that they will give me a free trip to US for me and my family for 2 weeks just to visit the hospital. And I had problems. I had never visited US before. because what happened was, it's all, there are a lot of stories in stories, because I was denied a visa to US. I had two major research presentations in the US, but because of Indian origin, and I had Indian passport, because I wanted to come back to India, so I never took, even though I could get a British citizenship, I didn't take. I wanted to come back. So ultimately, I gave up my Indian citizenship and got a British citizenship. But before that, I was not able to go to US because it was stamped on my Indian passport saying the refused visa. Once it is stamped, you can't go.
Even if you have a British passport.
That's another question. So when I went first, so they invite me to go to America. So we went as a family. I was caught in the immigration and customs, and said there was a form you had to fill that time. You had to say whether have you been rejected. So I said yes, because that's the truth. So the immigration officer caught me and said, you will have to go back because you were rejected visa. And I said, you are discriminating me. I am not an Indian citizen. You had rejected visa for an Indian. I'm a British citizen. I don't need a visa to come to your country. And then he said, actually he was a black man. He laughed and he said, sir, you are right. I cannot refuse your visa. Then he sarcastically said, you must be a very important person to come to US. You must be, I was going to Grand Rapids. So he said, you must be visiting the divorces, because they are very influential family and they are like kings and queens of Grand Rapids. So I said, yes, actually I am invited by the divorce family. He just rolled his eyes and said, anyway, that's how I go there. And after 2 weeks, we enjoyed. We had a chauffeur to drive around. We had one of the best hotels to stay, free food, accommodation. We enjoyed, and we came back. And then they asked whether I can join them. I said no. And then after I came back, I got a card from Dick Divorce. It was just one sentence. What can I do to earn a second visit from you, Divorce signature? Then I thought, nobody in my life has wanted me so much. These people really, and I love the hospital. The surgeon asked whether I can help with the first few surgeries in their hospital.
In US?
In US. So I said, okay, I'll come, because I went with the family again. I have a free trip.
Yeah.
Why not? So I went there, and then they converted it into an interview. So I met with the president of the hospital. It's one of the most successful healthcare business in US. It's called Cowell Health now. So I went there, and they interviewed me. Then I met with the president of the hospital, Dr. Bob Connors. He asked me, Joseph, can you tell me why you are so reluctant to come and work? And he said, why don't you write in a piece of paper what you need if you were to come here as a head of the department, what all things you need. So I said, ideally I need all this. And then he said, I can give you all this. When can you join? And I said, sir, I cannot join, because then I said I had made a promise to. And then he pulled one interesting thing to me. He said, there is a saying in Grand Rapids. It is, if you are not Dutch, you are not much. Most of the divorce family is from Holland. There is a Holland city in Michigan. So it is occupied by majority of Dutch, and they are very illustrious, very respected group of people, immigrants there. Then when I said I because the father, Harry Bayot, who gave me 3,000 rupees, was from Holland, and then he said, see, the Holland people supported you, so giving your services back to them will not be a breach of your promise, because they might have, this must have been what is intended, because it is they who gave you. So it was by a group of priests called Mill Hill Fathers. So I wrote to them, because I thought, I searched for Father Bayot. I think he is no more. So I wrote to the Mill Hill Fathers, saying that I had been given this money. I am ready to give as much as or more. I would like to do this. They never replied. And then I took a decision that perhaps this is okay because I am so much wanted. I'm not breaking a promise. I am helping the people who helped me one day. So I agreed to go. And actually, the hospital was very supportive. They said, you know, you can do better in US than here. And I will never forget. They were
You can do
Southampton was
better than UK than here.
in US than in UK.
Okay.
And consultants, they were very supportive. I went to US, and then they were I was supported in every way to develop that program.
Huge billboards,
Yeah.
welcome, treat.
And people who meet on the road will say, we thank you for bringing your talents to our state. And that's what I was trying to say. Whereas I have been here for 3 years
Where?
in India now.
Okay.
I don't think anyone wants me anywhere.
You are here, sir, because we want you. I need
It is
we
not
need you.
because you want me, because I feel I belong here.
You are.
But it's a sad story because see, there is a degree of pride in every doctor who practices because they believe in their talent and ability. But sometimes there are talents which they may not have experienced, uh, that can be provided by others. But there is something in our genes that do not allow us to. Maybe it is the competition that we face in schools. We have to be better than the other and everyone, and we just keep that competition mentality that we don't allow in our life for another person, because the supportive attitude will take the best out of us. But I think we have very good talents in India,
Sir,
but we are fighting with each other. But my feeling is, the lesson, the most important lesson I believe in my life or learned in my life is that, things that happen to you is for a reason.
Reason.
So if I feel that I am not successful in what I am trying to do now, there is a bigger thing waiting for me.
Very true.
So I don't have to feel, I feel a bit, I'm a human being. I feel sometimes upset about it, but I feel every day I know that there is something better going to happen. And that's what the driver is, because throughout my life, if I learn one thing, is that there is nothing negative. It is at that moment your mind makes you think it is negative, because you are not grown big enough to understand there is a bigger thing waiting for you. And that mental growth or maturity, I think now I have probably reached somewhere. And I believe in certain things, like if you are truthful to yourself, not to anyone, because and do there is something called in Bhagavad Gita, there is a saying, paradharmam bhayanakam. You find what is your dharma, and that search for your dharma and practicing that gives you the best strength for you. If I try to be like you, or people say role models and all that, but you can take a model, not to imitate them, because you are a specific person and you have a specific role in the world. You have to search inside for that and try to become what that is. You are not what you are, you become what you are. So to become what you are, you have to actually leave the temporary hurdles that you feel and focus. And the focus is not to become bigger. Focus is to do what you think is right according to your ability.
And to become better.
To get always it will take you better into a better place.
Sir, in the US, what all? See, you were talking on the last session when I was attending NEMCOM about the $4.2 million project and all. Can you just brief it again?
So what happened was, I was becoming very successful in the US. I was probably the first person to start getting devices made elsewhere, bring to US, and then treat patients and under compassionate use. I actually taught many institutions, like even Mayo Clinic. I had to give them, how can you get a device for compassionate use? They asked us for guidance. I went and did a procedure in their hospital. So what happened was, for me, if I feel that a patient can be benefited from something and there is no other way of treating, I take it as a challenge and fix that problem.
So now you are more than a pediatric.
Yeah, I have actually implanted 9 custom-made devices with special permission from FDA in patients in the US, and all of them successfully,
Living happily.
living after the procedure. So that was where one of the inventions that I did for the first time in the world, called atrial flow regulator, which was invented by me, and that was for a patient who was in the hospital, very sick with heart and lung failure. She was a chronic smoker and she was refused heart lung transplant. So they asked me whether I can do anything. So I invented a device to make a hole in the heart so that you can decompress the pressure in the heart. And that device is now valued millions in the world. And I presented that invention in a meeting in Frankfurt. There was a meeting on device therapy of heart failure in Frankfurt. So I presented, and then when I finished, one company came and asked, "Can I have the device?" I said, "I spent this much money. If you give what I spent, you can have the device." And I came to see my mother, who was old at that time. So when I came back, they met me in Paris, and we flew together. He came home, signed the signature, took the device, and now it is successful and it is being implanted. So then I thought, if I make any more devices, I want to make it in India and bring it to the patients.
But you already patented.
I have 14 patents at the moment, but I am struggling to get it to develop to the perfect product I want to. And that's where I am facing the biggest hurdle. It is not that the device is in demand, and I know that it will work. It is almost impossible to manufacture it in India.
In India.
In India. Though we say make in India, the system is not ready. There is lack of experience, expertise, machinery. I feel that a country like us should be putting effort to do that, because we are very good at copying. See, I remember in 2006 in Frankfurt, I used to be this is the only year I am not going. For last 19 years, I was going to Frankfurt for the CSI Frankfurt. That is a congenital and structural interventional meeting. I'm a faculty in that program. In 2006, a Chinese company came and met me, and the CEO of the company and 2 engineers. And the way they introduced to me was this. It's interesting. China is known for 3 C's: cheap, counterfeit, Chinese. So that is our reputation at the moment. This is in 2006. But we are going to change it. You will be able to trust us. We will make world quality stuff, and we can promise you. And can you work with me? So
They came to Frankfurt.
Yeah, Frankfurt. That's a meeting. All the companies come there. But I'm saying they were direct, truthful about their status. But today they are one of the best manufacturing hubs in the world. But we are doing still copying. I'm telling you that it's cheaper to copy. It is a device to come to from concept to a prototype. Only about 1 in 10 devices succeed. Of that 1 in 10 take 10 years to come to a patient, because you have to have rigorous tests and everything. The problem is that it's easy to copy something made abroad and then say that made in India. That is our problem. Genuine research is minimal. There is a lot of theory. We know a lot of theory. From childhood to you talk to any doctors, any engineers, they will just... Even I was like that. I was called a walking encyclopedia when people will ask me questions when I go to rounds and things. But now who wants memory? You can ask ChatGPT, within few seconds you can get all the information.
Very true.
All the Indian education training will go completely waste unless we change it today. This memorizing trick that was good at one point in time, memory will have no value in this world, because memory will be taken by the artificial intelligence. It can take the memory of the whole world in few seconds and give you. Why is the point in remembering some, all these general knowledge questions and we boast about we know all this? It has no meaning in the current era. If you want to learn, think free. Think about, as a person, and think alternative. Use your talents to use your brain to understand systems and understand things. And, I think we should stop today teaching, you will say, memorize this, memorize that. It's a waste of human energy in this era. And that's my biggest message to anyone, because you will be wasting a generation if you tell them to memorize now.
Challenging the education and the medical system of India today, where people all believe that India has developed to that extent that we own the biggest educational and medical facilities and other things. I'm sitting in front of a scholar who I think $4.2 million was your recent investment. Can you correct me where?
Yeah, that was actually when I was doing research in US. One family donated 4.2 million to develop further research.
One family.
One family. I mean, they are even now my friends. They are very generous people
In US.
in US. I mean, but they will only support US.
And coming back to in India
Mhm.
for last 3 years, have you submitted these papers and these procedures and these projects?
Oh, many times. See, when I came to India, I was told there is something called CSR funding, corporate social responsibility. Every major institutions are supposed to give 2 to 5% or something to donate to develop. So there is task. See, I started a company or institute called Institute for Advanced Medical Research and Innovation. It's a Section 8 company, not for profit. So, and we have got all the certificates for tax exemption. So my dream was, see, I wanted to have money not attached to research, but research needs money. So my thinking was like this: if I have a Section 8 non-for-profit organization, I can fund researchers without looking at the benefit of my research, because funding is already there. So I am not doing, because most of the research in India is to get more funding and then get more research and publish. It's a vicious cycle. Nothing is translated into practical thing. So I wanted to cut that off at the root. I want the funding first, do the research, and then commercialize that and use that money to do more research, so that the research will continue without being influenced by the funding. Because funding will come as a donation, because it's a not-for-profit organization. And I failed thoroughly. I made a lot of effort to meet people, but in India, I don't know why. There are so many very, very rich people. As I told you, in US, I mean, most of my research was done by donations through various kind-hearted people, because it will be used for their benefit or their community's benefit. But here I actually last year I put my own money into
See, what
into
I see
research.
here is in India for the last 12 years I'm here. What I see here is when kids are getting differently abled through all the unhealthy habits and many other things which is happening, malnutrition, so whatever is it. If you take the virtual autism which is happening, the parenting is going very poor. So people here, I believe the rich or the whatever social cause people would love to feed those kind of people who are suffering. You are trying to help somebody that they will not suffer, so that it will be upfronted, and you are there to invent or to develop certain things that the people will have a happy life. What you see is like you are in a suffering stage, right? You are handicapped, or you are differently abled, or you are in an old age home, or you have lost many things. Then you will see all these people coming up for rescue, help, and other things. But I am sitting in front of a scholar who is being respected by around the globe, and he's still talking to the world, especially India, to all the officials, help me that I can serve better. And I wish and I pray actually that your prayers will be listened, because any time and every time what is happening here is, if there's a disaster happening, everyone will come together.
Absolutely, we are very, very generous people. I think it is failure of, perhaps it is my failure to communicate better. See, our culture is different, because here maybe you have to approach differently. The reason why I'm saying is that one is obvious. People will give food for 100 people or 20 children or something. This is in our culture.
Yeah.
So,
And they
but,
feel very good that they have done
but
charity.
but there is no culture, because people don't know there are other ways of charitable work.
Very true.
For example, see, what I do will be, for example, you think about this. If I can invent one device that will improve. And I have, as I told you, 14 patents. And these patents are not invented because I wanted to invent a patent. These were from necessity of my patient suffering. And I think, how can I do something better? So then I'll come and write something, and then I start working on it. So these are real ground level things that has taught me that these are would be potential solutions. I'll give you one example. Heart check. You have a ECG. You can do echocardiogram. You can do treadmill. If you have renal problems, you do renal functions, liver functions. Tell me, if you have a lung problem, what you do? Do you have a BP machine? You have a BP machine to check your blood pressure. But pollution is going so high in India. Everywhere there is allergy, asthma is increasing. But is there any way to assess the function of your lung and say, because see, our organ systems are built in such a way that only after a majority of, for example, 80% of the kidney is to be damaged before your renal function become abnormal. About 60 to 80% liver has to be damaged before your liver function, because we have backup, we have reserves. Same way, we have respiratory reserve capacity. So only when your lung becomes too unwell, you start getting symptoms. But can't you assess your function of the lung and say actually it is going down before it actually goes down? So I invented a thing called prana. What it does is that you can blow into it and you can say what is your maximum ventilatory capacity, what is your forced expiratory capacity. That is, your lung function can be tested by a handheld machine blown into it. Also, it has got a nebulizer. So what you can do is you can take a drug. At the moment you prescribe a drug and you think it will work for you. But you can test. You can do your lung function first and then put the medicine and test again and see whether your lungs are better. So one drug may work you, do better for you at one, or the drug that works for me may not work for you. So you can have a personalized way of taking medicine. So we have invented, that's one of my new inventions for, I think everyone should be able to have a handheld machine. You can check your lung function, and if it deteriorates before it is too low, you can see. Also, you can regulate your treatment. For example, if you have asthma, the doctor says, take the medicine 3 times a day for next X days. But actually, you may not need for 2 weeks. You may need only for 1 week. So you can test it. Once your lung function is better, you can...
A personalized test.
And we are all educated people. We will be able to titrate. We will be able to... See, education has to come to people and patients. So everything in my mind what I think about is called democratization of medicine. Make medicine, especially now with LLMs and ChatGPT or any... You can learn a lot from about your health. Only thing is that what is your lung function? You test it and put it and say, yeah, this is good or bad. So I think this has to come to people. And so similar to that, of the 14 patents, one is prana, and we have completed the prototype. We'll be bringing it to market soon. So like this, there are many. I can go into each, but it will take a lot of time to explain. So I want to bring this, but the cost of it will be much less if it is made in a not-for-profit system and then commercialized than a company making it and then claiming there is need for money. I'm not questioning. Profit is necessary as an incentive. I'm not questioning that. But affordability is equally important for a country like India. For example, my AFR device, it is costing $12,000. Whereas I believe if I can make a different one, because I cannot infringe upon the patent, but I have a very good and better design now, which is not an infringement of the patent. And I should be able to sell it for, say, 1/10 of the price. That's my aim. But I am struggling because I hope people who listen test me out. Come and visit. I have started a center of excellence in VIT. We have an association with Sri Chitra Institute of Technology in Trivandrum. We have research work in St. John's Research Institute in Bangalore. So people can check and see the result of what we are doing. I will run out of funding soon because this is all my personal fund at the moment. So if you get support for research, and it is it can be audited. I'm happy for anyone to come and check. But give money that will help our country, help our system and future generation.
That's very important because, and also you were telling that, like, I believe that you have visited several times to India, and this time this is going to work. And Sri Chitra, you were saying that there's an interesting story that you will come to Sri Chitra. What was that interesting story?
That's what I was telling. It was a dream place when I was a medical student and I wanted to work there. And now we signed
MOU.
MOU. Dr. Behari, the director, was very, very, I really like the way he has supported us and the team there, Dr. Hari Krishna Verma. They are all supportive, and the cardiologists there, they are all ready to. So we have signed the MOU. Now we are going to work together to develop some of the devices there. Some of the devices we will work and develop in Vellore. And we have some of the exciting things, maybe it is another session we are developing with Vellore is, I think it is groundbreaking. And also we are developing advanced imaging systems, visualization system. My dream is, to have a booth in every hospital in India where a patient comes when they have a CT scan. They can come to the booth and then a technician or a trained person can show the scan and tell exactly in 3 dimensions. It is possible today. If I have enough funding, I'll be able to do this where, everyone gets a CT scan or MRI these days. You bring it, it will come in front of you in 3 dimensions. And actually you can say, this was the tumor. This is how it is sitting. You can rotate it, see from every side, dissect it, measure it, and say this is how it is. And then after surgery, you can also say actually it is removed or not. You are currently blindly believing people. You can see how the state of it.
In a booth?
In a booth. I have the system now ready.
Wow, that's very impressive. That's very interesting also. I think that the Indian citizens will take this very seriously, and the Indian politicians, the government, all will take up very seriously and bring this booth on at least on the multi-speciality hospitals.
Yeah, because soon. The problem is this. See, doctors are so busy.
They don't have even time.
They don't have time to explain anything. But a trained personnel will be paid only maybe 1/20th of a doctor's salary. But that person can sit with the patient for half an hour and explain what it is. So, and then maybe we could charge a small amount for that time. But people will go there because, see, when patients comes to me, it is not because they didn't have other doctors seen. They didn't have it explained to them. So all they are saying is, doctor, can you tell me what's wrong with me? Because we are not educating public. And if you look at the Western system, every patient is very, very taught. I spent half an hour with each patient, telling what's the problem, drawing pictures, etc. So, then the community, once the community's education is so good, we won't go to all these quacks and, alternative therapy. I'm not against alternative therapy, but there are fake alternative therapists there. And there's a natural history of disease. And some disease becomes spontaneously better. And whoever is the luckiest one touches that patient that time, claims this is like, Vettukattil Mamunyu who, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir's story, when he was impotent. So any woman get pregnant in the community, he will claim he's the father because at least he can prove his potence that way. Like that, the situation is, anyone will claim credit for a healing which has naturally happened. Things have to change. But unless you education, Prajnanam Brahma, education is the only solution. You have to teach, you have to educate patients, and the level of education of the common man, when increases, they will challenge doctors.
Very true, very true. We'll go for a rapid questions. I'm going to ask doctor some questions. We'll be back after a break. This is Shine with NalaN, and you are in conversation with Joseph Vettukattil, doctor. Welcome back. You are in conversation with Dr. Joseph Vettukattil. So, sir, rapid fire questions for you. One word that defines life.
Maybe love.
One word that defines success.
Hope.
Your greatest inspiration.
A belief in yourself.
Science or intuition.
Intuition.
Money or peace.
Peace.
One habit everyone should practice.
Believe that there is something bigger than you.
A book everyone should read.
Bhagavad Gita.
What makes you happy, sir?
and others are happy.
Imagine 50 years from now, people gather to remember your life. What would you want them to say about Joseph Vettukattil?
I was truthful to the core.
That's interesting. What is there you want to tell the people of India?
I think people have to be honest. People have to find the truth in themselves, or what I call their own dharma, and act fearlessly. These are the only things that you need. Rest of it will happen. It is our reluctance to believe in ourselves, the reluctance to hold on to truth and feel that that will save you or that will protect you. If that confidence is there, there is no fear in life. The problem is we say something and we don't practice it. If you really believe in yourself, and if you believe in, as I said, there is a inner spirit in all of us. I believe that strongly. And understanding, Avrutta Chakshu Amrudatham Ichan. The one who is inward turned and find himself is the one who is getting Amrudam or the eternity.
So you're talking so much of spirituality. Do you think in today's world, when the medicinal or the industry, the world has moved so forward with AIs and other things, people are going to take this seriously that spirituality is very important?
I think it is because spirituality is not understood. We have created God in our shape, our imagination. So you go to bribe the God, and everyone goes to temple to see. There is, if you the understanding of God is totally wrong, because if there is a God who knows you, you don't have to ask him for anything. The God knows already everything about you. If there is a God that you and I tend to talk about, that God knows everything. So the only thing you need is to have faith in that God. Surrender. That is Ishvara Pranidhana. Surrender to that. See, there is a beautiful teaching in Christianity. It is called Our Father, the prayer, and that's the most misunderstood prayer. There are two words, two aspects to it. One is your kingdom come, your will be done, and I didn't know. I thought it was for a long time, but it is the most profound statement. So if I have to do your will, what I have to do is to surrender myself 100% to you, and then your kingdom will come. So it is though what we are doing is my kingdom come, my will be done, and you help me to do. That's the God we have created. That spirituality doesn't exist. The God in our concept in every religion is a business model. Every religion, I am telling by underlining that. It's a customized, commercialized product. It's like selling Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever you call it, thumbs up. 99% is water, and you add a little bit of spice in it and say, my drink is better than yours. And that's our problem.
Do you think that, especially in India, especially in Kerala, I've seen a lot of junk foods, I've seen a lot of packet foods. I'm not naming it anything because I don't want to defame anyone in that manner. But when it comes to kids, what is your message to the parents? Because parenting is an art. Parenting is the responsibility. You cannot blame your product. You should blame the manufacturer, because the manufacturer is very important for taking care of their products at least on the early days.
There are two things I want to tell. One is my main message to the parents, especially in India. Children are not yours. We think that the children are your blessings. You are lucky to have your children, but they don't belong to you. They are on their own. They have a life. They have their essence. They have a choice. They should be flourishing in what their potential is. We are trying to make children our what we couldn't be should be our children. That's the first message. Find out the talent in. Because when my first son, he was supposed to be at one point thought to be a gifted child, when he said he wants to become an artist, I was shocked, because and he told me two things. Dad, I don't want to end up like you. Second thing he said was, Dad, I will be poor as an artist, but I will like to be happy and poor than rich and suffering. And I mean, he is a very successful artist today, but he stood by his principles, and I supported him. And I would have liked both of them to be doctors, but see the talent in your children and actually bring that up. Every one of us are here for a reason. If you misguide them, you spoil your life and their life. That's my main message to family. Always think children as gift, and they are individuals. Help them to grow. They are not your possession. That's our culture. Make you feel that children are mine. They are not ours. They happen to be yours. If I wanted to have a child like what I have, I would never have been able to. They became my children because I am proud of them.
Blessed.
Yeah, I'm blessed. It's a blessing. Second thing about food, be natural. There is no other word, because nature has packaged it the best way to you. When you try to make it better, you are spoiling it. Everything. For example, refined food is the worst food. The more refined becomes more dangerous to you. So be as natural as possible. Eat green leafy vegetables, eat sprouting seeds, eat anything as the nature brings. Us raw to the possibly tolerable way is the best food. And you can check me out in anything as fresh as possible, because these are the basic principles of life. But for my convenience and the industry's convenience, they package and then they add things to make it last longer,
Yeah.
and it spoils your health. But it's like, for example, taking medicine. Lifestyle change is the most important for a healthy living, but everyone wants a prescription. So when patients come to me, there were many times I won't prescribe anything, and they feel that they paid for this doctor, and they feel cheated. So this has to change.
I believe that people will take it up very seriously. So before we wind up, sir, my question is medicine, technology, and future. What is your opinion before we call off this day?
I think medicine will, though we believe that medicine has progressed a lot, I think we are in the cusp of a major change. What is considered disease today will be rethought or reprocessed, and there will be, because medicine has advanced in such a way that before disease become manifest, you will be able to understand what it is and you can prevent disease happening. That will be the most important breakthrough in medicine in future.
What do you think that artificial intelligence will take over the medicinal world or the...
It's like habits. Habits can be good and it can be bad. If you use the habit to help yourself, then it will be a great asset for you. But if you use the same thing, it's like war or anything else. What happens is that when a good thing is used for good purpose, it flourishes. If it is bad for, it will be the worst, like atomic energy and atom bomb. So what's going to happen with people will misuse AI to the core. There is pseudoscience also developing now, because all these fancy words of genomes and DNA and all these freely used to misguide people and say that we can do this and genes will be altered without having scientific proof. So what is going to happen is that there will be a muddled waters in between with the AI, and then it will clear up. And as there will be a strong group of people using AI for the worst, and there will be a group using it for good, like anything else.
For the best. If I ask you a profile, like if you ask you, who is Dr. Joseph Vettukattil before leaving US? Not now, before you. How can you just brief it to me?
I mean, I was liked by the society, and I was respected for what I brought to the society. And I was a person who was felt valued and felt respected by the community.
For what you have done, for the service
For
you
the
have done.
service.
What all qualifications as on date have you achieved from your journey, which you have thought that this is it, I'm going to reach there and nobody will ask me to be a mushroom anymore?
I think from academic perspective, I've reached whatever in terms of qualifications I
Like?
can get. See, I started with my BSc, MBBS, MD, DNB, FRCP, MRCP, MRCPCH, FRC, CPCH, CCST, FRSM. So all that, and then I stopped because I don't. I have other fellowships also. It is becoming material to me. What is important for me is now, to be honest, what I can give back to society.
That's why you are
Because
here today.
that's why I'm here. And people may not believe me also because it's very difficult to believe.
As you said, believing in yourself. Your mission is your mission. You are better qualified. You can always go back. You always have
I'll
a
tell you
welcome.
one thing. The I was given a special status in the U.S. Actually, I refused to write the USMLE. USMLE is the United States exam for any doctor. Even the biggest professor from here goes to US. You had to write the exam to qualify to work there. I said I am not going to write another exam. I have done with my exams. So they passed a special bill in the assembly to say that I am exempted from doing exams and I can practice. I am saying not to
Boost
make
you.
myself big. I am saying what extent a country has gone to
Understand.
support me and make me valuable to that community.
And I believe that India will come to know about you. India will look up to you. India will shake hand with you. And we need you, sir. We need you in this country. I think the coming up generations, the schools, the students, the generations will thank you for what you have contributed and what you are going to contribute. And thank you so much for being in with Shine with NalaN. This was an eye-opening conversation, and I believe that you also too enjoyed.
Thank you, definitely. I mean, we spend so much time together, and thank you for taking the effort and time to, because there was no need for you to meet me and do this.
It is, sir. It is because, as you said, before the life ends in this journey, if people ask me what you have done for this country or for this nation, or if the future generation look up, there is something that we have contributed. It could not be money. And I respect your son for that. Rather be poor and be happy than being rich and being sad.
I'll tell you one more thing, maybe, and then I'll stop. See, if you take Isaac Newton, who was a great scientist, 80% of his work was in spirituality, only 20% was science. But we never heard about his spirituality because spirituality is not fashionable. You have become less scientific, less, structured in society. Because in the West you cannot talk about because you are a fake scientist. So, but I pointed it out because I have a beautiful quotation from Einstein also, or Schrodinger. So the great scientists had inside them a great spiritual concept. But it was not confining to the standard belief of religious spirituality. So I feel that it is important to know that believing in God, or the God is a problem because it has a wrong connotation. Uh, Believing in something beyond you is not shameful, but it is not used for, usually it is used for your benefit. It is not for your benefit. It is for you to be you. And that finding the you in you is the greatest task in human being.
Very true, but again, education, literacy and education is two different concepts. People don't understand. Listening and hearing is two different concepts. People doesn't understand. Looking and observing is two different concepts. People don't understand. So people think in a different manner because they have been educated like that. I believe society has gone up. People like you is a very much necessity that these kind of conversations will open up here and people will take it up very seriously. And it's a great gesture. It's a great honor to have you here on my hot seat, sir, because traveling around the globe, coming back, when talking to people, most of them, even in the initial days, even though they mock at me or laugh at me, but today they take it up very seriously, well connected. So I believe that sitting in front of a great personality like you is a great honor to me also. We'll see again, we'll talk again, and we'll build it together, sir. My support from my team will be always there, and it will be always open for a call.
Thank you very
so
much.
much, sir.
Nice meeting.
Thank you.
Bye.
As we come to the end of this remarkable conversation, I am reminded of a simple truth. Medicine is not merely about treating disease. Innovation is not merely about creating technology, and success is not merely about recognition. At their very best, all three are about serving humanity. Today, we had the privilege of listening to a man who has spent a lifetime exploring the mysteries of the human heart, advancing the frontiers of medical science, and inspiring future generations through his vision and dedication. Dr. Joseph Vettukattil, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and your extraordinary journey with us. Most importantly, thank you for reminding us that while technology may shape the future, compassion will always define it. To our viewers, I hope today's conversation inspires you to dream bigger, think deeper, and live with greater purpose. Because true greatness is not measured by what we achieve for ourselves, but by what we contribute to the lives of others. This is NalaN Shine. And this is Shine with NalaN, where stories inspire, ideas ignite, and conversations create impact. Until we meet again, keep shining, keep inspiring, keep making a difference. Bye.